Mabuhay! Hello, Irina. Good.
Selamat petang. Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon. Yay! We are coming into the chapter 8 now today. Okay? So, I don't know about you. Chapter 8, there is hope for livelihoods. So, I think this is my favorite part, I guess.
For me, this is also very interesting because we're going to talk about hope and we're
Yeah.
also going to talk about livelihood. But livelihood that is something anchored to our heritage, correct?
Yes. Because the word hope here, it doesn't mean just an hope, you know. The hope here is consists of the four elements, which is very important elements that we always would like to keep reminding, everybody, including ourselves. So HOPE stand for heritage, origin, preservation, education.
Oh, very interesting. So I hope everybody now who's joining us in this live video will clearly understand that hope always stands for heritage, origin, preservation, and education.
Yes, yes. And this is what Xia all about, Southeast Asia heritage. Coming to, when coming into this session is also because October is sometimes very it's a very significant month for me and a very sentimental month for me. Reason because my heritage journey is always started in 10 years ago in October. Yeah. And I think the most impressed me, currently we are still in the month of BTCF 2020, B Tourist Community Festival. So the word community, heritage, and all these keywords is coming because of. I think whenever we travel, I hope like Apple, you have the same feeling like me. Whenever we travel, it doesn't matter like how beautiful the scenery is. It's going to capture you for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I think the most that you enjoy 15 minutes. Then what is next? So the next is if you're going to have like a strong impression, whenever the destination, which country that you visit, I think that you will agree with me that people, right? People.
Correct, correct. Always about the community because once I've already feel so amazed by the surrounding, by the environment. But what really strikes my memory and what makes that place special is the people that I'm with, the people that I traveled with, and also the people, the community that I became friends with. So we've
Yeah.
traveled around Southeast Asia, and I'm very thankful that in all these destinations, I made friends with the local people. So that's
Great.
really something very important.
Yes, that is key important message is you make friends, right? So for example, like we as a frontliners also, especially when I start to preparing my Southeast Asia heritage journey, the most actually how to say like it's made me worried, and make me sometimes like really struggling is how to make a good story. So a great story, it doesn't just come from the facts, but the great story, it has to be come from the people. And sometimes this inside story is so important. Like example, like in this footage, you watch our chapter 8, you saw like shoemaking, right? So probably you'll be thinking like, yeah, Irina, why we choose the shoemakers? Actually, first when I was in Myanmar, that was actually the footage was shot in Myanmar in Mandalay. It's one of my, I would say that one of my favorite town, old
Oh,
city, and rich in heritage. And when we talk the word rich in heritage, doesn't mean just the word only like tangible, but I'm referring to the intangible. So we need people, especially intangible heritage is come from the people. So this shoemaking is amaze me is because of you actually supporting like a lot of families. And then the great thing about these local people not only just come from Mandalay, I think it's throughout the whole population in Myanmar, they were so proud of this sandal, right?
it's
Of this
handcrafted,
sandal, yes,
handcrafted by the
yeah.
family, and they've been doing it for several generations already.
Yes, and the most important is people don't see sandal as like rude, sandal as like just a casual, but sandal as a fashion, sandal as a status. I even have friends like, when you see they attending like the formal meeting and so on, everybody is like wearing the sandal. So probably we were thinking like maybe in the Western culture or some part of the world, the culture, sandal is like quite rude. But no, no, no. Today is like they're so proud of this. So of course, please carry on to watch our video clips. Yeah. So today, I think we want to focus on this. Hope for the livelihood is in Southeast Asia. Whenever which country you visited, you're going to meet lots of this kind of awesome people. Serious. Yeah. Yes.
Awesome
Yes.
people with very interesting stories and very interesting craftsmanship with them. That
Yep.
some skills that have been passed on to them, and some recipes, some
Yes.
techniques that has been with their family. So that's why I'm really curious to know more. What is this topic is all about? What is hope for livelihood, and why we need to focus on this kind of topic for today, Irina?
Just now you mentioned the word craftsmanship, right? So especially the word traditional craftsmanship, it's recognized in the UNESCO, in the UNESCO organization as a cultural sector intangible heritage. But for the craft, this kind of traditional craftsmanship, we have one big challenge. The biggest challenge is usually the master. It doesn't I would not say that they are not that willingly, they're not that willingly to transform their skills and knowledge, into any outsiders. So that is became a challenge because sometimes they just prefer like within their family members, maybe through their sibling they wouldn't mind, but not just to the outsider. So very very rare, like very very few of the master they will transform it. But of course you also have like successful story, like some of the businesses. I'm not sure when you traveling you observe like some of the business they like to highlight that, oh, we are 100 years old history, we are 200, 300, 400. They are so proud, and then we was like amazed with like, wow, this branding had been carried for 100 years, right? So why they
Especially
are successful? Because they already transformed their business model into a factory, into a factory. So they can like actually recruit more people, and they can actually like making the skill into some kind of like I would say that not 100% all handmade, not 100% anymore, because sometimes you need the machine when you transform into the factory. So there
experience
was
for many
so
people already.
yes, yes. So usually this type of model, I would call them as like a traditional trade, because they already like been in the business for so long. They can actually keep going, and keep producing the products. Yeah, yeah. But for Southeast Asia heritage, we would like to focus. Yeah, we would like to focus most in the traditional craftsmanship. So although we still using the word trade, so the trade in a small scale, the traits as individually, trait as like have a special strong sentimental values behind. Okay, so I give you like example of
Listen,
course this is a pewter. Yeah, this is a pewter. So pewter is, of course, is a big factory now, but they have been like established, especially Royal Slang or pewter, for hundreds of years already, right? So long that when you Kuala Lumpur started, you have them. So
already.
yeah. So I consider them as a traditional trade. They really helped up on the economy developments and everything. Yeah. For example, like this, what do you guess? What is this?
It looks like the Russian doll.
Okay,
Like
because
the one that
maybe
the
it's
egg that
not
they
not too,
open.
yeah, maybe it's not too
Oh,
clear,
it's
right? Yeah, now
cool.
I make it clear. So I think
It's
the
actually
moment
wood.
you see, yeah, the moment you see this creature, it reminds you something already, right?
The dragon. It's something like from Bali, from Indonesia.
Yes, it is true from the Bali. So this is actually come from an egg, but the egg is actually carved from the wood. It's just the shape of the egg. So they have put their Balini story, Balini culture, Balini spiritual belief into this whole wooden cup. So like this is quite successful also. Why? Because of number one, immediately we can tell where does it from, right? So it do helps out to the tourist or to the visitor in some sort of level to identify that this is a genuine product, from the workmanship, from the painting we already understood, yeah, from the picture we already know, okay. And then because of it became turns out to be like popular, and then everybody's like, okay, if I go to Bali, I have to buy something, for souvenir purpose, I remember last chapter we talked about not everything is suitable for souvenir, okay, but this is suitable as a souvenir because of you appreciate their craftsmanship, okay, you appreciate their art. Okay, arts. I remember there's one chapter we talk about arts also, right? Yes, appreciating the art. So this one you can like in Bali, they are very successful is because of they can turn the whole villages, even the younger generation, everybody look into like, oh, this is important. You have a market demand. Just like the shoemaker in Mandalay, the small Mandalay, that is one of the example. You make it like turn it into the daily use, and that it will be really helpful. Yeah. Okay. So while waiting for our Miss Apple to return back in a short while period of time, I will carry on, with the session. And I got the feel like a nice. This is actually making from the skin cow, okay, from the cow skin. So this is actually our what we call the not only just for the purpose of as an art, but it's actually a shadow play, wayang kulit, okay, the shadow play. So from this art, it's actually created many from the musician, from people who making, but so the maker today actually not only just like make it for the purpose for the performances, but also we can turn it into actually became like what do you call some display or some art appreciation for decoration. So for me, every time when I visit everywhere I go, I do my very best, and I'm very selective because I always would like to find out more, like what is this village is famous, or what is this village is specialized, and why this special the traditional craftsman, what kind of the work that she do or he do, and how is actually like value on the values on the hope heritage origin, and whether the guy is actually looking forward for the preservation, because preservation is very important uh, when not just only doing for money making, but doing for the good purpose to create a more awareness and to create the impact. So sometimes all these masters, when they fulfilling this four criteria, they're willing to contribute in terms of this four heritage, origin, preservation, education. Definitely, that's how we will be partnering with them. Yeah, partnering with them, and we will transform all these experiences, into not just visiting them, watching them, but we will do some interactive session. So that's why it's like when you go to travel, especially come for a culture tour, it's not necessary just only like see the word like see, just the see, So why we always say that purposeful sensory journey. So whatever we do, even a small activity, we visit the traditional shop or traditional trade shop, or go to the traditional craftsmanship shop, So that is how we wish like you can enjoy all the elements, in there. That's what we mean by the purposeful sensory journey. So by listening, by watching, by hands-on experience, feel it, that's how we can actually develop more appreciation, on that. And I think in Southeast Asia, when I this started the journey, that amazed me is all the people, seriously, and that is where the motivation is coming from them too. It's not only about just their arts, Sometimes you listen to their stories, and then you understand the whole process, like how they actually making, you make yourself is like that wow, that is really a tough job, man. So this is one of the motivation, for motivation for Xiao, so Southeast Asia Heritage, to keep, going and going and going, and to hopefully that we can find more the traditional craftsmanship, coming in, to so that we hope like actually we can do some part of the contribution. The some part of the contribution is turn them into a valuable workshop, or turn them into a valuable education experience, or turn them, into like a wonderful experiences on like just to have some interacting, even just a short interview, like short conversation, with the owners. And this will make the impression and the day totally different. Yeah, so all these years, this is some part of my, my journey, and that have to like keep, dragging me. So when we hi Apple, yeah,
Back.
yes,
Thank you for telling your stories about your journey in craftsmanship, Irene.
yeah, yes, thank
That's
you.
something that's very interesting. So I'm listening and learning more about your journey.
Mm. And then I think April, as you as young generation to me, or you like to call yourself millennials.
Millennials.
Oh,
Tita.
okay. Okay. Millennials. Okay. Okay. So so what is your like kind of like your feeling? And also I think I'm glad that you actually back to Philippines and do some field trip, you know. I remember you started like okay, what is about traditional trade? What is that?
Going around.
Yeah. So maybe you can share your experience to us. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, before I love traveling. I'll be very honest. As a traveler, I frequently traveled outside the Philippines, and that's where I get to be familiar with Southeast Asia heritage. And my journey with Irina, I can definitely say that it was purposeful sensory journey. And basically, these experiences inspired me to know more about what we have in the Philippines. So that's why when I came back in my own country, I started to go to different communities. I started to know more about our own traditional trade, our own spirituality, and even different communities. So there was one, of course, in the Bicol region. During my regional tourist guide training, I
Mm,
ventured in the happy island of Catanduanes. That
mm,
island is very special because they used to be the howling wind, like the center of typhoon in the country, right? They are always
mm,
hit. But they are also very rich in traditional trade, which is highly linked with abaca fibers.
mm,
Abaca fibers. And these abaca fibers is something that we can trace back in our history records as our gold. So
yeah.
it fiber. The abaca tree is only seen in the Philippines and also in Ecuador, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And this fiber is actually used in paper money.
Mm,
Okay, like for example, the Japanese yen, it's composed of 70% of abaca fibers, and they
mm,
import the abaca from the Philippines. So, and we have many the abaca fiber. We can use it into clothes. I even have my national costume with abaca
mm,
fibers. So those are the things. It can be turned into bags, into hats. And during the COVID-19 pandemic,
yeah.
I something very interesting for everybody. It was found out that the masks are actually also, in short, the abaca fiber is good as a material for filtering viruses or bacteria. So some of
Mm,
them, they are already turning it into a mask as part of the mask. So overall, when I ventured into the happy island of Catanduanes, what I noticed, Irina, was it's mostly the older generation who
mm,
are very familiar with all the processes, like from planting the tree to
yeah.
harvesting it. to processing the fiber. And it's not, I can say, it's not only happening in the abaca fiber industry, but
Yeah.
overall in farming. Because my grandparents, the generation of my grandparents are farmers. But
Mm.
my parents' generation, they are no longer in the farming. But now my
Okay.
sister is trying to go back to that part, so what I can say is, as a younger generation, somehow we had the challenge in appreciating the traditional trade that has
Yeah.
been done by our ancestors. But
Yes.
now, as we venture into different communities, we try to understand what it means for us to do and to preserve, or at least to appreciate. I think it's better to use the word first, appreciate.
Yeah.
Because without appreciation, we wouldn't be able to know why we need to pay, for example, this vest that I'm wearing. Why
Mm.
this would cost 5,000
Yeah.
pesos,
Yeah.
like $100, right? But then you realize that this type of embroidery, or what you call is the thing that they sew here, is
So we,
part
yeah. Mm.
is also part of traditional craft by another community, the one that I visited in Lake Cebu in Tibuli. Okay, so for me, it's really, I'm still, to be very honest, to you and also to our viewers, I'm still in the process of knowing more about what we have here in the Philippines and trying to appreciate it. Because before, we used to be like very westernized in terms of clothing. We forgot about our traditional wear, So
Yeah.
now we're understanding why we need to appreciate it, so that we can somehow venture and bring it moving forward. I think another challenge, Irina, I hope it's something that you have also observed. Sometimes we have traditional craftsmanship that is not fully appreciated in present or modern times because of the design or the usability of it. So
Yeah.
now maybe some aspects of it we can incorporate, like this one. It shouldn't be like this, but they converted it into like a vest that is wearable for business meetings.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. As I see, like certain thing is easy, like fashion.
Yes.
Fashion, you can transform it, and you still can like sell it in the different periods of time. But certain, it's quite difficult and quite tough, because sometimes we have to understood, like, if the master didn't transform the skill, for example, like in Malaysia, some of our traditional, or I would say that our heritage building is unable to be reconstructed back, or is one of the challenges, because you lost the craftsman, and then
Mhm.
sometimes the material is hard to get it, so it's very difficult, so it's that's why it will be just gone like that. Yeah. Okay, so it's all depending on, as I say, as a government now in Southeast Asia Heritage, we are focusing on, there's a hope. Okay, that means it's like we are not trying to identify, if we know this is going to be endangered, but we do our very best, that we try to convince. I use the word convince. It's not easy. It's not easy. That's why to develop a good experience or traditional craftsmanship trail or traditional trick trail is really not easy, because the biggest challenge is not just about whether the family, whether the person, and also you're fighting with the environment, and you're also fighting, together with the current trend. So it's not easy to convince. Yeah, I
Many.
just in fact, this, I told you, this whole month October I was quite busy, right? I
Yes.
was busy, actually. Is part of my, now Malaysia is just slowly in the recovery stage, and I'm just like able to go out again, to travel a little bit, but I travel with very cautious also, because with the new normal, and we always want to promote the better normal, right? So we
Correct.
have to be like cautious on selecting your sites, your places that you visit, because you don't wish to see the big wave coming back again for the COVID. Yeah, so that is also my advice. So I only can travel very little and look into the low risk places. So I managed to go back to Malacca again, because I one of the inspiration come from this traditional trade or traditional craftsmanship is actually started in Malacca. Yeah, because the people are so nice, and they are willing to teach me, they're willing to share me. And once upon a time, I would say that before the COVID, the we used to be like our one of our best trail is actually in the Malacca for the traditional trip, because
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 it's
the
more.
tourists, yes, because the tourists find it's not easy that you can get somebody, sometimes even local don't understand local.
Mm,
See, doesn't mean you are local means you understand local. Okay. So it doesn't mean I'm an outsider means I'm strange to them. So I believe in the word is called the attitude, you know. So for any cultural lover, if you're a heritage lover or you really care and concern the person, it's not about your nationality or what is your background coming from, whether you are local or not local. Again, it's still the word approach. So I learned a lot from them, and I learned from a lot from the local communities, and that's how it's actually motivate, not just inspiring me and motivate me to take the right action, that I want to go into championing for intangible heritage, and then especially those who have traditional business or traditional craftsmanship. So when I pick up this goal, I know it's very difficult to achieve. I know it's not easy, but as I say, 10 years journey now, okay, 10 years journey now. Of course, I see some sunlight and I see some raining day too, okay. So
but
that
I
is the real,
what
yeah, that,
yeah.
yeah. So that's the
Based
real
on
life.
what you're sorry, based from what you're sharing, Irina, what the first word that really came into my mind is partnership. Because
Yeah.
even though you're not from Melaka,
Mhm.
and you were able to form this partnership with the local people, and
Yeah.
they started to opening up with you, and by
Mhm.
doing so, you're able to somehow contribute the both partners. You're able to contribute to the preservation or at least documentation. I think I'll
Yes.
start with the word documentation first, because
Yes.
you're able to digitalize how they're doing it, how they can pass on this kind of stories, this kind of craftsmanship, the skills, so that it might not be the local people only who's learning, but also other people to have a better
Yes.
appreciation.
Yeah, correct. So I think the importantly is again back to the word attitude. It's how we actually presenting ourselves and what is our objective and our agenda got to be transparent. Okay, transparency is important. So I always very straightforward to them. I always say that I cannot guarantee like how much money I can bring to you, okay, but this is my sincerity on like I wish more people to knows about you, and of course I wish that your traditional skill and knowledge able to preserve and keep going on, okay. So that is always I keep reminding, then whatever I can do the support, you can be very frank to me also, like how much, or what sort of contribution, but not turn it into as a commercial, because the moment you turn it into the commercial, you lost your HOPE again. The elements will be lost again. So that is, I have to be very careful. And we it's not like just one meeting, two meeting. You will make your partners to understand you. So sometimes it took me like 2-3 years to build a relationship. So when I start moving out 2015, going to Southeast Asia, so same thing I encountering. So a lot of people don't really like can understand me well, but it's okay. I managed to find Apple like you, right? And I have many other partners out there too that, people slowly to learn, accept, and adapt. Okay. But I have one example I think is a very important that I wanted to highlight. Yeah.
What is
Okay, maybe to you this is like just a bamboo weaving, like a case. So
yeah.
inside you have a flute. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So if I don't tell you the story, the inside story, probably you will think, oh, Irina, this is a nice souvenir. I actually bought it from very close to Angkor Wat in Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
Because bamboo is everywhere now, seriously. One of the traditional craftsmanship that you can actually sustain very well is bamboo, because you have the demand, okay? And you have the environment because you still have bamboo tree. So it's
It's
easy.
one of the sustainable material in Southeast Asia.
Yes, correct. So if
So
you have
what's the
many
story of
functions,
that one? What's
yeah.
the very special story?
The story is I bought it from a very young kid, okay? From a very young kid. So when I bought it is actually my heart was broken, and at that day I was quite upset. I was very upset. I was upset thing is like, why sometimes that in the tourism that people using, our young generation, especially the children, as a tool, as a marketing tool. This is
To sell?
something this is something I really against it. So when I bought it, this is because the young boy, he speak fantastic English. And then this is not only happened to him, is if you go to some of the Southeast Asia destination, you're going to see a lot of like 10 years old children. I'm talking about like they are below 15, below 14. So this age group or above 6 and 7 onwards, they speak multi languages. And then they're using this is like the traditional arts or traditional tools or whatsoever. And they're selling, please support, please help me to buy a souvenir, and then they can speak multiple language. So that is really make me think again that like, we are trying to like help the wood preserving, right? We want to support the local communities. We want to support the economy, okay? We want to preserve the culture. But why this is happening? So the interpretation here is we have to be very careful. The message here is very careful, so don't let good things become bad action. This is a very bad action. Yeah. So
Or
when I buy this, it's not to
labor?
promote, not to promote you as how beautiful the art piece. It is beautiful. But this is the story that I always reminding myself that we have to be careful. And when we promoting our products, when we want to promote our destination, we got to be careful, with all this, yeah.
Aside from the material that you're using, I think I will focus more on what you've said, that it's the young boy, like children who are
Mm.
selling, because that's also rampant in different places that I've personally visited.
Mm.
Of course, when there are famous destinations, you can always see children.
Yeah.
Some destinations that childrens are begging, but there are some destinations that they are the salesman, right?
Yes. Yes.
They will say, hey, please buy this, please, so that I can go to school. Like in the Philippines, in one of the sites, tourist sites, Cagsawa Ruins in Bicol region,
Mm.
there used to be a lot of young children, but now they are only allowed during weekends, so
Yeah.
that it will not be like a child labor. Like
Mm.
these children, they would highlight more on their education first. But
Yeah.
for me, that's somehow, to be very honest, that's something that is it can be a concern for others that we're using children as part of labor, but it
Yeah.
can also be a way for them to practice, because I've seen some children practicing their English, practicing their communication skills when they are trying to offer to guide
Mm.
within that premises. But just like you, I also have one story that I remember when I went to my soul searching soul in Bagan. So I was driving my motorcycle, and as I went around, and I went around old temples, old Bagan, and then in one of the restaurants near where I'm staying, when I was about to park, there's a young boy who was selling me postcards. But what's interesting about that postcards, and in broken English, he would say, I draw me, buy this. So for me, even at a young age, I bought those postcards he personally drew and cut out in a regular bond paper, Irina. If you will see it, it's really like a stick drawings. It is in one of my collections here in this room. But why I bought that? Because I saw his passion in drawing. I saw his conviction in his skills.
Mm.
So for me, even before he became Picasso or whoever master artist, at a
Yeah.
young age, I felt like, okay, I'm going to support this young boy, and his name is Piwa, and I always have that memory of him. Like he's not begging compared to other children who would just hey, asking for this money and that, but he believed in his skills. Maybe when I was asking the people around, like, is he always here? Like, does he go to school? And then the brother came, and then, yeah, we go to school. It's just that this my brother, he loves drawing and he loves to sell it so that he can buy more materials for his art. So those are the little things. So sometimes it's not really child labor, but it's really helping them to discover more of their skills, and hopefully this is part of their future livelihood.
Yes, yes. Because today we touch on the livelihood, so I'm a little bit concerned on sometimes the interpretation of the word livelihood. It could be very different. So some is like okay, but I just wish that since we are in the sustainable development goals, right? Tourism for SDGs. So I just like I really wish that any party who comes in, so we must understand the agenda, the goal, the objective. Uh, in I mean, it's like you fully understand about. So it's not became like a wrong message that came out. So for example, like just now, the young boy I mentioning is sometimes you can judge from the age. If the age is too young, they suppose this is the right time for school, and why they are here, that means it's something wrong. I'm not saying that like not to encourage them for to promote their talents or not encouraging, but we have to look at the timing. It's supposed to be school, or even is it this country is so poor until people can't afford. There was not even they have a basic school education, like free education for them. So these are the things we need to at least we must understand the actual situation before we put the judgment there. Okay,
Correct.
before we put the judgment, that is very important. So we just hope that we support the right. So like you talking about the painting, I have a fantastic painting also. The young boy, I would say that the young man, so he's about like, to me, his age group, I asked him, he said like 18, 19. And then he's draw on the spot, just by the straight side, together with the father,
Oh,
yes, together with the dad. And there was a 1 weekend, so I just used my very simple English to in Yangon at that time. So I was just simple communication. I say like, do you draw this as a full-time? And no, 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 this is my part-time, and I'm helping my dad. So that is transforming the art skill to the son, so they're drawing together. And I bought that painting because it's like when I asked for the price, I was like shocked in my life. Just like you want to support, right? So it was like only like $3. We were
oh,
talking about 2017. It was like $3. 2000, sorry, 2000. I a little bit forgot the year about that period. So it's $3. And when I bring back to Malaysia, I put a painting up. It's put a frame up. Then it looks like very exclusive. Look
oh.
very very exclusive. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
I think that's
So
as a traveler, as a tourist, something that especially the Westerners, the Europeans, must be able to understand when it comes to Southeast Asia and our
yeah,
livelihood. Because some people might see it as child labor. But I just
yeah,
remember in one of the communities that I visited, it is actually the bonding of the parents with the children. Some of us may interpret it as, oh, you're forcing your children to learn this, to learn that. No, because in some communities without television, without internet, the craftsmanship, teaching your children how to sew, how to do these beads, how to do this arts, or how to carve, is actually part of the parent and children bonding. And
yeah,
the parents also understand that when the children say, oh, I'm tired, I'll just do it tomorrow. It's okay. They respect it. But that's where our role as a tourist guide, as community guides, would play a big importance. the way we
Yes.
interpret it. So I
Yeah.
hope as we venture into this kind of experiences for possible sensory journey, you don't just go to the community and judge them that,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
adult are telling these children to do this, label it as child labor. When
Yeah.
for that specific community, it is part of their bonding. It is part of their heritage,
Yeah.
teaching and passing on this one.
Yeah. But I also seen many traditional trade businesses. Usually the successor you still will come from the own sibling.
Yeah.
Many, actually many. The reason because of they might not come in as immediately, but when as they grows up, they will, they start realizing, because they will actually grow up in the environment. They see how their parents do, their great grandparents do, so usually this kind of sentimental value is very strong. It's not easy like we as an outsider person, out from the family members. It's easy to understand that is really different. So I can understood like when Apple you mentioned like it's sometimes it makes like feel why the parents ask the kids do this do that, so it's actually I would say that like when it's a parents, now I can feel the feeling coming to me because for example like my mom is very she's very good in cooking, and she's getting old already, and she has her health recipe, she always wanted to transform to me, because she will say that, oh, I'm not going to transform to others, I want to transform to you, only you. Okay.
So now you need to learn how to do the kitchen.
Then to be honest, originally of course I will, the last few years I will feel like very pressure, and then I'll try to avoid it, sometimes it's like that. You are kids, right? This is your parents, and then we are the children. You're rejected, you're rejected. But when you come to the time, you will start realizing, hey, no, you shouldn't think this way. You should think that like you are fortunate, you are honored, because the parent chose you.
I
The
think
parent
that's
chose you because you have the potential. Otherwise they won't simply just want to teach you, because they could say, I want to teach your cousin, I want to teach you this, teach you that. It's still sibling, right? We're still family members, right? Yeah, yeah.
your specific story about recipe food from parents to the next to the siblings or to the children, it actually reminded me of another challenge that's happening in Southeast Asia, particularly in Singapore, the hawker culture. Because
Yeah.
hawker, like that's where most people would go as a tourist, as a traveler. Whenever I go to Singapore, I would usually eat in the hawker's place. But
Mm.
just like what you've observed, right? If you look at the hawkers' places, most of them are old people. And then
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people, there are very seldom hawker stations that are manned by younger generation. And based on some documentaries that I've read, and of course, based on the interviews that we've conducted when we were in Singapore also, two things. First is the older generation doesn't want their children to suffer the way they're suffering,
Okay.
correct? Because
Mm.
it's really like for them, it's like a 24/7 job. It's a hard work. So they'd
Mm.
rather send their children to offices, to good professions.
Yeah.
But now there's also as Singapore as part of their Singapore culture and heritage, they're trying to revive and sustain this hawker culture by having the hawkerpreneurs. Like now, the government is spending and encouraging young people to continue this hawker tradition. And I've seen some of the videos that like some bankers, some IT professionals, they already left their profession so
Yeah.
that they can start learning from their parents or grandparents manning that hawker station. So I
Okay.
think that there's an ongoing reappreciation of what our elders are doing and knowing more about their recipes.
Actually, you got some you hit some point, because as in the food industry now, because food is one of the most essential business. I call it the most. It's the most important at the moment now. So whoever in the traditional businesses in food, you just can surviving well if you're willing to work hard and you're willing to do. You sure will success. Okay. then I think that is for sure. But like you mentioning, like some traditional craftsmanship, like for example, those are silver making, and some like steel maker, and you have to like really work under the hot temperature, and your environment is like, not air conditioning sometimes, not that presentable. So these are the endanger now. Why? Because the old guys are still working, but even though they're willing to teach the young one, even they're willing to teach the young one, but the young one doesn't want to accept it. And yeah, in some part it's true that they will tell you like the parents, this is a hard, it's a very hard work, you better work in banking, you better work in somewhere, give you a better future. Yeah, it's true, many are there. But I want to say it's like, I don't know, these 10 years I see some great changes. I see some younger generation, like at the age those days they are 10 plus, now they are 20 plus. Those days are 20 plus, now they are 30 plus. So they're still under the youth category. The good thing is these 10 years, I mean, I just recently do some, go and do rechecking my traditional trail back and see what was the progress. And so I see like if they slowly go to have some new successor, there's somebody is going to take over, from the parents, so that is a good sign. But of course, I would not say like, it's out of 100%, like you got 75%. I would say like 100%, probably you got 40%. That it all depending on the demand and the requirements also. Demand.
Oh,
Yes, it's not like, if you wanted to learn the skill, but it doesn't have any more demands, so how are you going to
doesn't
continue the
give you the
business?
profit that you need.
Yes. And you couldn't, like, if you couldn't sustaining well, and like, not, I mean, don't say make good money, but at least like, earn your own, your own livelihood, at least you survive. Yes. And you can't even pay the bills, that how to continue. Yeah.
Good thing that you mentioned that, Irina, because that's really why we're doing this discussion. Because by focusing on hope for the livelihood, right? We
Yes.
want to really promote this, you know,
Yes.
decent work and economic growth, SDG number 8. Because Irina have already mentioned that even though there are some in the younger generation that would like to learn the traditional trade, but if there's no demand,
Yeah.
then there's nothing that will help them survive. Okay,
Yes.
so I just remember like the traditional dance. Why some people are still learning it?
Yeah.
Somebody who's been very passionate in my advocacies and all other things that I've been doing, I'll be very honest. One thing that I realized, passion is not enough. We've been bombarded with messages that pursue your passion, continue your passion, but it must be a purposeful passion so that you might find ways on how to make uh, prosperity out of it.
Yeah.
Because to be very honest, even if you're passionate, the moment that you don't have any cash in your bank, you don't have any money to sustain your livelihood, you will really go to the point that you will leave what you're passionate about and just focus on something that will bring in money first. But
Yes. Yes.
if you're able to help and appreciate all this traditional trade, this livelihood, and sustain them, then we will see more craftsmanship. We will see more artists focusing on.
Exactly. Yes. So this is why Southeast Asia Heritage coming into this, because we also wish that, we able to create, the awareness, and not just up to the word awareness, so we can create some good impact to encourage people. Let's do it as a cultural experience. Let's do it, as part of our life experience.
And don't just take picture. That's something that I'd like to highlight, Irina, because
Yeah.
sometimes some operators, they would go to these sites where there's living tradition, or
Yeah.
craftsmanship, but they will just explain it for them. Some tour operators, some tourist guide would consider the community as a human exhibit, but they,
Ah, yeah, yeah. Agree, agree, agree.
you remember, like some people, okay, take pictures, so this is what they're doing. So it's like a human exhibit. But at the end of the day, have you paid something? Have you like purchased something from what they're doing?
Yeah.
Because hopefully the travelers, the tourists, you will not just take pictures and then not appreciate it. I've personally witnessed in one of the traditional weaving center that I visited. One tourist guide brought a small group
Yep.
of travelers,
Yep.
and they were explaining this and that, and then of course the local community, they started to perform how to do the weaving and all. But then what they did is they just gave a t-shirt to the
Yeah,
local
yeah,
community. And I was like, wait, you should have purchased something. You get what I mean? Because if you really want them to continue their
yeah.
traditional trade, it must be like that. So I know not everybody can purchase because it might be too expensive, but at the end of the day, I hope we find ways.
Yeah.
The people in the value chain, the tour operators, the tourist guide, we must be able to educate our travelers, our tourists, that when we go to these destinations, you're not just there to observe, but hopefully you can patronize their product, their artwork, or whatever it is.
So I always
So I always
encourage like
encourage like
you
you
must have
must have
the
the
hands-on
hands-on
interacting.
interaction.
So you
So
turn
you
it into like a participation. So you don't just go there and watch, So that even though I might not have the enough money to support your products, but at least I can pay certain, I call it like appreciation, that you're willing to share your knowledge and some skill work, with us. Okay, so that kind of appreciation. So I always very careful, and I always tell my partners, we have to be careful on designing, on this kind of experiences. Yes.
I think I also remember that chicken rice ball that bounces when
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
like when we were going around Singapore. So that man, we already purchased the food, right? We
yes,
already
yes.
purchased the food. So, but then the man noticed that we're very particular and we're very interested in how things are. So
Yeah,
he started to showcase how to do the chicken rice.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's part of the things that we can do as part of the participation.
Yes, correct. You know why? Because we already show the respect. Because we don't just go there to eat the food, or just take the picture, but we really show interest on the product in the sense that, like, we really care, we really concern, so that's why I used to, in the beginning I say the word approach, how we actually approach the local, or how we approach the trade businesses and so on. So it's very important. Okay, it's very important. So it's not like we just go there and take and then just tell them, oh, I want to promote you,
That's something that
things like that. So it's not.
that's something that I really appreciate because of my experiences with Southeast Asia Heritage. You can really see that it's multi-sensory, and then you will feel as a tourist. I'm talking as a tourist. The first time that I've experienced how they're doing the Heritage Walk in Kuala Lumpur. As a tourist, I would say that you can sense the mutual respect
Yeah,
between the tour operator, the tourist guide, and then the community partners. There's one memory near the Indian temple where you
yeah.
have the jasmine bracelet.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, this is something that I think it's also happening in other areas. Some vendors, street vendors, would be pissed off with some tour groups because they
Yeah,
just
correct.
take a picture and then they will touch all these flowers but did not purchase anything. They will not even communicate with the local vendor, correct? But
Yeah,
with Southeast Asia Heritage, one thing that really amazes me is that there's a mutual respect. The vendor recognizes the small group, the tourists, and then they would interact because
yeah,
there's also the tourist guide. Somebody who would explain and introduce both parties, and then they would explain why, how long is the jasmine bracelet
yeah.
has been
Yes,
doing.
yes.
So, tell us more about this. this kind of partnership and how you're able to build this mutual respect that helps the livelihood.
Of course, firstly, when we identify our partnership, we like what I mentioned earlier, we don't promise them anything, but at least we do some balance. So if I got 10 vendors, I don't want to show like I only favoritism into one vendor. Okay, if in the area I have 10, so unless someone have like show to us like, oh, I'm not interested, I don't want to be participate with you guys and all this, then it's fine, so it's their own right also, because they are running the business, right? So we trying to go equally. So I always tell my team, all our team members, I say we shouldn't show any favoritism. We should be fair and we should be friendly to all. That is important. So if today I contribute to one store, maybe tomorrow I go to the B store, then I go to the C store. So if I can contribute all together, then I contribute all together. So then the local community, they will feel like, oh, that is quite fair. There's no favoritism here. So they are coming in as very sincere. They're coming in as they really reach out their objective. Yeah. Yes.
That's a very good case study, and also for me a best practice that
Mm.
don't just bring in tourists without having them properly introduced and preparing your community partners. Okay.
Yes. 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 I
Do we have
think
a question for this session?
I think the session actually from the just now the discussion indirectly we already answer some of the question, but we also encourage that this is not like the last episode for us, although chapter 8 is coming to the first series of the I would say that our first series, but in on our last on this chapter 8. But
We have
yeah,
to wrap
yeah.
once we thought.
So we are talking about actually we've been like doing this for 2 months, because
Yes.
1 week we only publish twice, right? So total we have 8 chapters to go. So we already like come into the second month, towards the month end already, the 2 months period. Yeah. But Asia, anything is not something like we just going to be finished. So we are looking forward the new series. You can share us the feedback. You can keep asking the previous after whatever discussion or the from the each chapter of the video clips. You can always still have doubts and you question. You can always ask us.
You can
Because
always continue the discussion.
yes, we will reply you, and then we also will looking forward all your feedbacks. Because why? Because this is also important that for us to moving forward. Into the next series.
Correct. And how we can better prepare, because again, for everybody who's watching this video, it
Yeah.
all started because we like to maintain our connections. We'd like to maintain this
Yes.
kind of friendship among Southeast Asian friends, and of course because we're just at home, and what's
Yes,
better,
just at home.
is correct, what's better
Even
way to stay connected is to use the internet, and hopefully by having this recorded sessions, Irina, with all our other friends in Southeast Asia, we're able to share our stories, our
yeah.
experiences, and you'll be encouraged to know more about Southeast Asia heritage, on how you can also have your own purposeful sensory journey.
And I would like to enhance it is like some of our Southeast Asian friend, because due to this is our very first virtual discussion online. All right, so many of us are still actually adapting ourselves, and it's not everyone have like a strong internet, strong to really like a setup, into the into like a studio. We are not up to that level, but at least I think for these 2 months we do our best, to adapting to the new normal. But as I say that not just only the new normal, we always looking forward the better normal with purposeful sensory journey. So hope
Yes,
to see you soon again. Yeah, hope
yes.
to see you
Hopefully, we'll
soon.
focus more on improvement,
Yeah.
progress, and more than the perfection, just like what we're doing. So, this is basically our wrap up for season one. Congratulations!
Yay! We completed.
You
Oh.
completed season one, and it's all because we just wanted to experiment. We just want to stay connected. We don't have any script. Whatever we're saying is based on our stories, our experiences, and
Yeah.
of course, our passion to be in the know. and to
As the
experiment.
channel, yes, and as the channel said so, MBS, Learn Live Hope. So no bullshit, right?
Yes,
MBS stands for no bullshit. Whatever we say it is coming sincerely from here. Okay. And we always wanted to learn with the heritage. Okay. Sorry, we want to learn the culture. Learn the
learn.
culture, live with the heritage, and give hope to the local communities. That's always our passion. Okay. And our vision and mission. Thank you,
Correct.
everyone.
Thank you. Maraming maraming salamat. Maraming
Terima
salamat.
kasih. Terima
Hopefully,
kasih. Thank
yes,
you.
hopefully you join us for season 2. Let us know what you want. Maybe we can do some virtual experiences, virtual tours, whatever it is. We're open for all this kind of improvement. So once again, I'm Apple Allison from the Philippines.
I'm Irina Lu from Malaysia.
And
So,
we'd like to thank you. Terima kasih. Maraming salamat. Bye-bye.
bye.